Mr. President, thank you very much for doing this. There is a pause, or seems to be a pause, in the war between the United States and Iran. How do you think this will end? How would you like to see it end?
We did not start this war, and we do not want this war to continue in any way. From the very beginning, it was the motto of my administration that I always adhere to, and that was fostering the national unity inside the country and also fostering peace and tranquility and friendship with the neighboring countries and with the rest of the world.
The American President Donald Trump has said that the United States bombed your enrichment facilities because the government of Iran refused to give up its nuclear program, and that there can be no peace until Iran does give up that nuclear program. Would you be willing to give up the nuclear program in exchange for peace?
I would like to tell you what has happened, and it was Netanyahu since 1984 has created this false mentality that Iran seeks a nuclear bomb, and it has insinuated that Iran is trying to develop a nuclear bomb in the past, and it has put it in the minds of every U.S. president since then, and to make them believe that we would like to have a nuclear bomb. But the truth is that we have never been after developing a nuclear bomb, not in the past, not presently, or in the future, because this is wrong, and this is in contrast to the religious decree or the fatwa which has been issued by His Eminence, the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, that so it is religiously forbidden for us to go after a nuclear bomb. And this was always corroborated thanks to our cooperation with IAEA, because they were always there that to verify this and to substantiate that we have never wanted a nuclear bomb. But unfortunately, this cooperation was disturbed by the unlawful attacks against our nuclear facilities.
So you have, according to news reports, withdrawn your cooperation from IAEA, the International Nuclear Regulatory Agency. And so there's, I suppose, no way for the rest of the world to know how much uranium you're enriching and to what extent, to what percentage it's being enriched. And so is there any way to verify, and would you be willing to allow other nations to verify that you are not building nuclear weapons?
Mr. Carson, sir, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that we were right in the middle of holding talks with the United States, and the President of the United States invited us to hold such talks in order to have peace. And we were told during the process of these negotiations and talks that as long as we don't give the permission to Israel, they are not going to attack you. And we were going to have the next round of the talks very soon. But in the middle of it, suddenly Israel torpedoed the negotiating table. We were sitting at the negotiating table when it happened. And by doing this, they totally ruined and destroyed diplomacy. In order to answer your question with regards to the surveillance or the supervision over our nuclear program, I would like to say that we are ready to hold talks over it. We have never been the party that has run away from verification. We stand ready to have these supervisions. But unfortunately, as a result of the United States unlawful attacks against our nuclear centers and installations, many of the pieces of equipment and the facilities there have been severely damaged. Therefore, we don't have any access to them. We cannot see, and unless this access is going to be back there again, we have to wait for it and to see what happens and how much they have been damaged so that we can go for the supervision.
There have been news reports that your government believes that the IAEA was spying on the government of Iran and passing information to Israel. Do you believe that? And if so, do you have evidence that that's true that the world could see?
I would like to tell you that we were, somehow pessimistic about the activities of the IAEA, because somehow we realized that Israel could get information from the inspections which were carried out by the IAEA, but it never prevented the IAEA from carrying out their activities inside Iran, and they had full access to supervise and to have surveillance over our nuclear facilities. But there was this lack of trust as the result of the last report by IAEA. The type of the report and the way they prepared the report somehow gave an excuse to the Israeli regime and prepared the ground for their unlawful and unauthorized attack against our nuclear facilities. And even after that, the IAEA failed to condemn these attacks or try to stop them. And this ran counter to the international law, and this resulted in a widespread lack of trust among the Iranian legislators, and the public opinion here.
You've suggested that you were anxious to resolve your conflicts with the United States through diplomacy, and that was derailed by war. Would you be willing to restart diplomacy? And could you tell us in general but precise terms the kind of deal you would be willing to accept?
You see, I am of the belief that we could very much easily resolve our differences and conflicts with the United States through dialogue and talks. And the international law could serve as the framework or the basis for a deal in which the rights of all nations, Iranian nation, would be respected. But unfortunately, it was Netanyahu that destroyed these diplomacy and these diplomatic efforts. We have always, we never wanted anything beyond the respect for our rights, rightful rights, enshrined in international law. But as I said, it was Netanyahu that brought unrest to our region and is fomenting unrest and tensions in the region. As I have always said, we have always been after peace. It has been my motto. It has been my belief. It has been my heartfelt opinion that we need to live in peace and harmony during this short and limited time granted to us by God Almighty, to live in peace and tranquility with everybody. And everybody in the world should live like that. But I would also like, on the other hand, to reiterate that our people are capable enough to defend themselves in self-defense during any kind of attack. And I believe that the United States President can very well guide the region and the world to peace and tranquility, or, on the other hand, to lead it to forever wars.